take a slow, deep breath in and let it drift out like a feather on the river breeze. Feel your shoulders grow heavy, melting into the softness beneath you. Let your jaw unclench. Your eyes grow soft and warm, as if they are watching the last glow of sunset on a quiet river. Imagine a gentle breeze brushing across your face, carrying with it the scent of warm reeds and distant flowers, sweet and ancient. Let each breath become slower, softer, until it feels as if the river itself is breathing with you. And now, when you feel ready, close your eyes and listen closely. Our story tonight sets sail at the shimmering edge of the great Euphrates River, in a time when the stars above Mesopotamia twinkled like tiny oil lamps in the endless dark. Long ago, under a moon as round and watchful as a mother's eye, a fisherman named Enlil set out on the water in his small red boat. His boat, you see, was woven from strong reeds that once whispered to the morning sun, each strand carefully chosen and tied, just as the ancient Mesopotamians did when they crafted vessels to honor the river's spirit. The reeds would bend and sigh as they were bound together, humming in soft rustles that only the most patient ears could hear. Enlil's boat rocked ever so gently beneath him. As he pushed away from the muddy bank, the sound of the water kissing the hull was like a soft lullaby in itself. Lap, 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 each tiny wave a heartbeat of the ancient river. He carried with him a small clay lantern, its glow flickering like a distant star reflected in the water's surface. The flame danced quietly, casting golden ripples across Enlil's gentle face. As the boat drifted downstream, Enlil began to hum. His song was an old one, so old that even the reeds along the shore might have remembered it from a time when God still wandered among humans, whispering secrets into the warm night air. His voice was low, steady, the kind of sound that wraps around your ears like a soft blanket. It carried across the river, calling to the stars above and the fish below, to the night birds perched silently on the banks, and to the moon who watched with tender curiosity. He sang of the river's endless journey, how it began in distant mountains where snow melted under the sun's gentle breath, how it carried silt and seeds, stories and songs, winding through the heart of a land that glowed with the warmth of clay and grain. The Mesopotamians believed the river was alive, a living spirit with moods and dreams, able to bless the fields with rich black soil, or rise up in sudden anger to wash them clean. Tonight, the river was in a dreamful mood, slow, peaceful, holding Enlil's boat as carefully as a mother cradles a sleeping child. As Enlil drifted, he dipped his fingers into the cool, silken water. It slipped through his hand with a soft she sound, like the hush of a friend telling you to rest your worries. He closed his eyes, imagining the many hands that had woven reeds before him, the quiet laughter of children on the shore, the deep chants of priests in distant ziggurats, sending prayers skyward on trails of fragrant smoke. The moon rose higher, its pale light stretching across the river like a silver scarf. The water mirrored the stars so clearly that Enlil sometimes felt he was floating through the sky itself, drifting between constellations, tracing the lines of ancient myths that flickered overhead. Each stroke of his paddle was slow, a deep inhale, a gentle exhale. The ripples fanned out, echoing the rhythm of his heart. He sang about the reeds, how they were once believed to carry messages to the gods when used in writing tablets, clay tablets, carefully marked with tiny wedge-shaped impressions called cuneiform. Stories, prayers, and even recipes gently pressed into wet clay, before being set in the sun to harden. Those same reeds, when woven into a boat, could also carry the soul of a fisherman across the mirror of the world. Enlil's humming changed into a soft chant now, an ancient tune known only to riverfolk, passed down in secret from one generation to the next. The words were like pebbles rolling under gentle water, smooth, round, timeless. As he sang, fireflies began to gather around his lantern, tiny lanterns of their own, pulsing in slow waves as if they, too, were breathing with the river. In the distance, the faint outline of palm trees swayed ever so slowly. The air was heavy with the scent of fresh water and the sweetness of night flowers blooming along the shore. Enlil thought about the grand cities far away, Uruk and Ur, where ziggurats touched the stars and markets bustled with barley and dates. But here on the river there was only stillness, the kind of stillness that hums beneath the skin, inviting you deeper into your own quietness. With each breath, Enlil felt lighter, as if the river were slowly lifting all the burdens from his chest, carrying them away into the soft darkness. A gentle breeze curled across the water, rustling the reeds and making his lantern flame dance. The sound of the reeds brushing against one another was like 1,000 tiny whispers, each one telling you, "It's safe now, you can rest, you are held." He watched the stars ripple and shimmer in the water's surface, imagining them as tiny boats sailing upside down, each carrying a dream or a wish from someone on the earth below. When Enlil closed his eyes, he felt the whole river breathe around him. He listened to the low, secret sounds beneath the surface, the glide of fish, the sway of underwater reeds, the quiet popping of air bubbles rising toward the moon. His boat glided past a hidden cove, where lotus flowers slept on the water's edge, their petals folded softly like a child's hand in prayer. A night heron, white as moonlight, lifted its head but did not cry out, only watched in still silence, as if it too were listening to Enlil's lullaby. At that moment, Enlil felt the river and the sky merge, becoming one endless sea of stars and gentle waves. In the warmth of this union, he whispered a quiet blessing to the river, thanking it for its patience and its secrets. The boat rocked him, a slow, sweet cradle. Enlil's voice grew quieter, a tender hum under his breath. His eyelids grew heavy, fluttering like the wings of a resting moth, and as the last note of his song faded into the hush of the night, the river carried him onward, into dreams of starlit fields, the soft hands of the reeds, and the endless embrace of the moon. The night grew deeper, folding around Enlil like a soft woolen blanket, heavy enough to quiet every thought, yet light enough to let his spirit drift. His fingers rested on the edge of the boat, trailing through the water late, as if he were drawing half-forgotten constellations onto the river's skin. Each movement sent tiny rings shimmering outward, little silent ripples that disappeared into the night. Above him, the stars kept watch. In Mesopotamia, the people believed that each star was a god or a sacred spirit, a tiny lantern that guided the fates of mortals below. Enlil had grown up hearing elders tell stories of these star gods, how they would weave destinies into the fabric of the sky like a vast, glowing tapestry. He remembered being a small boy, lying on the mud roof of his family's house, listening to his grandmother's voice, drifting through the warm air. She would speak of Nana, the moon god, who journeyed each night across the heavens in his silver boat, watching over the river and the farmers' fields. Tonight, Enlil felt as though Nana was sailing right beside him, his moonlight shimmering on the waves, whispering gentle secrets only the most patient hearts could hear. A cool breeze stirred, brushing over Enlil's cheeks like a mother's lullaby. The reeds at the banks swayed in response, their whispering voices joining the night's soft symphony. He watched as a pale lotus bud slowly began to open in the moonlight, its petals unfolding like a slow exhale. In Mesopotamian gardens, Lotuses were rare and sacred, symbols of new beginnings and the quiet persistence of life. Enlil felt the same steady unfolding within himself, a sense of deep calm, a blooming of quiet joy that spread warmly through his chest. Somewhere in the distance, a red flute began to play. The sound was faint at first, drifting across the water like a distant dream. Perhaps it was a shepherd on the far bank, keeping watch over his flock through the night, or maybe a young girl practicing her evening melodies before sleep. The notes rose and fell in soft waves, echoing the shape of the river itself. Gentle curves and soft dips, a sound without sharp edges or sudden breaks. Enlil closed his eyes and let the music pour into him, each note a gentle hand smoothing away the last knots of the day. He could almost feel the presence of the ancient scribes, who once recorded such music on clay tablets, carving gentle lines that sang of love, of harvests of the great flood that had washed over the land in ages past. These songs were offerings to the gods, small flickers of human longing, set gently at the feet of the divine. Enlil's boat rocked a little as a fish surfaced nearby, sending tiny droplets into the air. They landed on his arm, cool and bright, like stardust. With a soft sigh, he leaned back, resting his head against the bundled reeds at the stern. His lantern flickered lower now, its little flame bowing down as if ready to sleep too. The night deepened even more, a velvet hush pressing against the world. It felt as though time itself had slowed, each second stretching long and sweet, like honey drizzling from a clay pot. Above, the stars continued their quiet dance. Enlil imagined them weaving new stories for the coming dawn, new dreams for children in Uruk, new hopes for farmers tending their barley fields at sunrise, new songs for wandering bards who would share them by the fire. He could almost hear the barley swaying in faraway fields, the tiny, rhythmic brushing of stalks against each other, a sound like 1,000 tiny heartbeats pulsing in unison. In that moment, Enlil felt he was part of something vast and endless, a single drop in the ancient river of stories flowing through Mesopotamia, carrying fragments of laughter, tears, whispered prayers, and soft good nights. As he drifted, his thoughts began to soften and blur, like ink bleeding gently into water. He remembered the soft touch of clay between his fingers, when he helped shape small jars as a boy, the smell of fresh dates being pounded into sweet cakes, the warmth of the sun on his skin during planting season, when every grain of barley held the promise of life. All these memories floated around him like small boats on the water, bobbing gently, safe and quiet in the moon's watchful glow. The reed flute in the distance fell silent now, leaving only the sounds of the river, the hush of water, the faint rustling of reeds, the low, secret songs of nighttime insects. Enlil's breathing grew even slower, deeper. Each inhale a tide rising gently along the shore of his ribs, each exhale a tender wave receding back to sea. He felt his body melt further into the soft cradle of the boat, as if he were no longer separate from the water, no longer a fisherman, but a drifting dream himself, a song woven from moonlight and reeds. He could sense dawn waiting patiently behind the hills, gathering its golden threads to mend the night's final shadows. But for now, there was no need to rush. The river did not hurry, the stars did not hurry, and neither did he. In that deep quiet, Enlil offered one last hum, a soft, almost silent note that drifted into the dark and rose toward the stars, a farewell to the night, a greeting to the dreams, waiting for him just beyond the veil of waking. As his eyelids fluttered shut at last, the river held him tighter, rocking him toward a gentle, endless sleep. His mind slipped into the soft corridors of dreams, where moonlit lotus flowers bloomed in slow motion, and clay tablets told stories with glimmering lines of light instead of ink. There Enlil saw the river goddess, her hair shimmering like water under the moon. She reached out her hand, and he took it without hesitation, stepping softly into her realm of drifting stars and whispering reeds. Together, they walked along a path of glowing lotus petals, each step lighter than the last, each breath deeper and sweeter. All around them, fireflies floated like tiny lanterns, lighting the way deeper into the dream world. A place with no sharp sounds, no heavy worries, only soft laughter, cool water, and the warmth of an ancient, timeless embrace. In that final moment before sleep carried him fully away, Enlil heard a last gentle whisper in the breeze. Rest now, river child. You are safe, you are loved, you are home. In the realm of dreams, Enlil's spirit felt lighter than a red plume floating on morning mist. He and the river goddess moved together, their steps barely touching the shimmering lotus petals beneath them. Each petal gave off a pale, bluish glow, illuminating the path as if they were walking across the stars themselves. The air in this dream realm was cool and sweet, carrying the scent of night flowers and fresh rain. A soft mist curled around them, hugging them gently like a silken shawl. Above, the sky rippled like a giant pool of midnight water, every star a living eye watching with kind curiosity. These were the ancient star spirits, whom Mesopotamians believed guided the fate of each city, each traveler, each tiny seed in the ground. The goddess turned to Enlil and spoke in a voice as soft as river foam. Every ripple you made tonight has become a note in the river's endless song. Each breath, each hum, each gentle stroke of your paddle is remembered, forever flowing in the waters and the stars alike. Enlil felt warmth spread through his chest, a glow that pulsed gently, as if a small lantern had been lit inside his heart. Around them, small clay tablets drifted through the air like autumn leaves. Each tablet was covered in delicate cuneiform markings, glowing softly with a pale golden light. These were the dreams of ancient scribes, the prayers of farmers, the secret songs of temple musicians. As they floated past, Enlil could almost hear faint echoes, the chanting of a priest offering incense at dawn, the giggle of a child chasing a goat through a dusty courtyard, the quiet recitation of a mother teaching her daughter to write her first word. One tablet landed gently in Enlil's palm. Its surface was cool and smooth, the symbols shifting slowly as if alive. As he gazed into its soft glow, he saw an image appear, his own little red boat drifting down the Euphrates, the moon above, smiling softly, fireflies dancing like stars all around. The goddess nodded slowly, her eyes glimmering like moonlit ripples. "This is your story," she whispered, woven into the river's memory. Carried by the reeds and guarded by the stars, Enlil closed his fingers around the tablet, feeling a gentle pulse of warmth move up his arm and across his body. It felt like an embrace, tender and endless, as if every loving hand that had ever touched him was now holding him at once. A soft breeze stirred, carrying the low, steady sound of distant drums, the kind used in ancient festivals to call down blessings from the gods. The rhythm was slow, deep, and comforting, echoing the beat of a calm heart. As they continued walking, more tablets drifted past, each one sharing its quiet glow. A potter shaping clay in the morning sun, a merchant offering honey and dates at a bustling market, a shepherd resting beneath a date palm, counting stars until sleep claimed him. These stories formed a gentle river around Enlil and the goddess, each tale a tiny wave flowing past, carrying fragments of laughter, sighs, and soft goodbyes. The goddess raised her hand, and the stream of stories slowed, gathering around them in a glowing circle. She spoke again, her voice like moonlight on quiet water. Every human heart is a small boat, drifting on the great river of time. Some are carried swiftly, some meander slowly among reeds, but all are guided by the quiet hand of the stars. Enlil felt tears well softly behind his closed eyelids, but they did not fall. They shimmered instead, warm and bright, like small pearls. He felt a deep, vast peace begin to bloom within him, a sense that he was not alone, that he was never truly separate from the river, the reeds, the stars, or the silent moonlight above. Around them, fireflies began to spiral upward, forming a soft, glowing arch that led deeper into the dream world. It looked like a bridge of tiny lanterns, inviting and safe. The goddess offered her hand once more. Enlil took it, and together they stepped onto this luminous bridge. With each step, he felt lighter. His feet barely touched the petals now, his thoughts as soft as a sigh. Below the bridge, he could see scenes unfolding like living tapestries. Children chasing each other through courtyard gardens, farmers singing to their oxen in golden barley fields, potters laughing as they shaped jars for fresh pomegranate wine. Each image shimmered and changed, woven seamlessly into the next, like soft threads in an endless fabric. As they walked, the distant sound of a gentle lullaby floated up to meet them, a mother's voice, sweet and low, weaving words older than any temple or king. It carried the softness of fresh river mud and the warmth of midday sun on clay rooftops. Enlil's eyelids grew even heavier now, as if a gentle hand was closing them one last time for the night. At the end of the bridge, the goddess paused, turning toward him with a soft smile that glowed brighter than the moon. She leaned forward, her forehead touching his lightly. "You have drifted far tonight," she murmured, her breath as cool as morning mist. "And now it is time to rest within the deepest currents of your dreams, to let the river cradle you until the dawn calls you softly back." Enlil's body felt almost weightless now, like a feather drifting slowly to the river's surface. His breaths had become deep, each one a quiet wave slipping toward shore. The goddess placed a soft kiss on his forehead, and in that instant all the sounds of the night, the hum of reeds, the low chant of distant stars, the moon's gentle sigh, blended into a single sweet hush. The glowing tablets around him began to melt into soft streams of light, winding together into a silvery mist that wrapped around Enlil, tucking him in like the finest linen. Slowly, the bridge of fireflies faded, dissolving into small, warm sparks that drifted away, each one carrying a whispered blessing into the night. Enlil felt himself sinking gently, deeper and deeper, into a pool of velvety quiet. The goddess's final words drifted after him, like a lullaby echoing down a long, moonlit corridor. "Sleep now, river child, sleep, and let your dreams sail beyond the stars. You are watched over, you are held, and you are loved." In that final hush, Enlil's spirit settled softly, cradled in the river's endless embrace, and the last flicker of the moonlight wrapped around him like a shimmering veil. All that remained was silence. Warm, soothing, endless, the kind of silence that feels like a heartbeat, like the first quiet breath of dawn before the birds sing. And there, in that quiet beyond words, Enlil slept, floating among stars, reeds, and soft moonbeams, forever drifting in a dream without end. As Enlil floated deeper into his dream, the river beneath him transformed. The gentle currents turned into silken ribbons of light, glowing softly in shades of moonstone blue and pale gold. Each ribbon carried the warmth of starlight, the scent of blooming lotus, and the distant echo of ancient songs. He felt himself swaying, as if he were lying in a hammock strung between two willow trees, high above a quiet garden. Tiny flecks of light, perhaps star seeds or ancient blessings, drifted downward around him, landing softly on his shoulders and cheeks. Each speck dissolved on contact, leaving a delicate warmth that spread through his entire being, like a soft ember placed tenderly in the center of his heart. Through the haze of this dream river, Enlil began to see shapes forming. Vast temples rising from the mist, their stepped terraces crowned with lush gardens. These were the ziggurats of old, towering temples that touched the sky, built brick by brick in devotion to the gods. He saw priests dressed in flowing linen robes, carrying small baskets of fresh dates, barley, and honey to place at the altars. Their steps were slow and reverent, as though each movement was a note in a sacred song. Farther along, he glimpsed scribes seated cross-legged under the shade of palm trees. Their clay tablets glowed softly in their laps, and the scribes' reeds moved like tiny river reeds, swaying in the breeze. They wrote not only the stories of kings and gods, but also humble dreams. A mother's wish for her child, a young boy's prayer for rain, a grandmother's memory of her first fig harvest. Enlil watched, entranced, feeling as if each line etched into the clay hummed softly in the air around him. The script shimmered and twisted into soft, curling lines of light that drifted upward, becoming fireflies that joined the dream's glowing canopy. A gentle hush spread across the dreams. It was the kind of silence that comes just before dawn, when the world seems to hold its breath in gratitude. Enlil felt his own breath match this hush. Slow, deep, peaceful. Ahead, a new figure emerged from the mist. An old man, his hair as white as moonlight on water, his robe the color of deep twilight. In his hands, he held a harp carved from polished wood, its strings shimmering like threads of silver rain. The old man began to play, and the first note vibrated through Enlil's bones, a sound so tender that it felt like a soft caress on his forehead. The melody curled around him, weaving itself into the air, into the water, into the very heartbeat of the dream. It was an ancient Mesopotamian lullaby, a song that mothers once sang to their babies as they rocked them beneath the stars. A song that travelers hummed to themselves while watching over their herds at night. Enlil felt his spirit sway gently in time with the melody. His eyelids fluttered in his dream, even though they had long closed in the waking world. The harp's notes drifted past him like feathers, each one carrying a secret blessing, each one dissolving into small ripples across his mind. The old man looked into Enlil's eyes, and in that gaze was the kindness of 1,000 grandfathers, the patience of a river that has known every stone, every fish, every quiet whisper along its banks. "Rest, dream wanderer," the old man said in a voice as soft as wool. "Your journey tonight has been long and gentle. It is time to let go fully, to drift into the deepest layer of sleep, where dreams become shimmering seeds that blossom with the sunrise." Enlil felt something shift inside him, a final soft release, like a knot unraveling after many seasons. His body melted further, as if he were sinking into the very fabric of the stars. A soft, fragrant breeze moved past him, then, carrying scents of myrrh, fresh dates, and warm barley cakes, reminders of dawn fires, temple offerings, and family feasts. Around him, the dream river began to swirl slowly, forming a great spiral of shimmering light. Within this spiral, he saw fleeting images: a young boy feeding a newborn lamb, a woman weaving a red mat while humming softly, a fisherman offering thanks to the river after a long day. Each image glowed and faded, as gentle as a breath on a window pane. As the spiral turned, it folded in on itself, becoming a glowing cocoon that wrapped around Enlil, embracing him with perfect warmth and softness. The harp's final note rang out, a single, sweet tone that echoed in the endless night, like a soft bell calling the stars home. Enlil felt himself finally surrender, sinking fully into the embrace of sleep. The cocoon of light around him pulsed slowly, matching the rhythm of his heart. Each pulse spread waves of calm, deeper and deeper, until even the thought of waking was nothing but a distant ripple far above. His last conscious sensation was the feeling of a hand, perhaps the river goddess's, perhaps the old man's, resting gently over his heart, keeping it safe, steady, and surrounded by endless kindness. Then all thoughts slipped away. All that remained was a soft, velvety darkness filled with the hush of night reeds, the shimmer of moonlit ripples, and the secret lullabies of star spirits. In this silent, star-warmed cradle, Enlil drifted beyond dreams, beyond time, beyond even the softest sighs of the night. He became part of the river, part of the stars, part of the ancient songs echoing quietly through the ages. And there, in that deepest, sweetest place, he slept, forever watched, forever held, forever loved. In that endless cradle of shimmering dark, Enlil's spirit began to feel like mist. Weightless, gentle, formless, he was no longer simply floating on a river or standing upon reeds. He had become part of a vast, ancient ocean of memory and starlight. Above him, the night sky opened even wider, revealing new constellations that glimmered softly, as if blinking in a slow, sleepy rhythm. These were not the familiar star patterns he knew from watching the skies above his boat. These were the secret constellations known only to dreamers and moon spirits. One cluster shimmered in the shape of a great lion, its tail curling like a soft river current. Another looked like a tall ziggurat, its glowing steps leading higher and higher into the hush of the night. Each star pulsed with a slow, gentle warmth, like a heartbeat or the quiet echo of a lullaby. Enlil felt drawn upward, as though the stars were calling him softly, whispering secrets known only to the night. Come closer, drift higher, you are safe, you are loved. Rest deeper still. A soft breeze, if it could even be called a breeze in this formless dream world, carried with it the faintest sound of a temple bell, a single distant chime that rippled across the sky like a delicate wave. He felt a sensation of being gently lifted, as though invisible hands, warm and tender, were helping him rise toward those stars. As he drifted upward, he passed through delicate veils of silver mist. In each veil, scenes shimmered softly before melting away again. A young girl lighting an oil lamp at dusk, her small hands trembling with excitement as she offered her first prayer to Inanna, goddess of love and the evening star. A bearded scholar in a quiet courtyard, carefully grinding lapis lazuli into a fine blue powder to paint on temple walls, pausing now and then to listen to the songs of nightbirds. A shepherd lying beneath an acacia tree, plucking softly at a small lyre and humming to the moon as his flock curled nearby, already dreaming. Each vision left a small echo in Enlil's heart, a new petal in the flower of warmth blooming inside his chest. Higher still he drifted, until he reached a vast, moonlit garden in the sky. The ground here was woven from stardust and soft reeds, and glowing lotus flowers rose tall and silent in every direction, their petals opening and closing as if breathing in perfect, slow harmony. A small moonlit pond shimmered at the garden's center. The surface was so still that it looked like polished silver. Enlil felt pulled toward it, and as he drew near, he saw his reflection, not as a simple fisherman, but as a luminous being, woven from moonlight, reeds, and soft river songs. A voice so soft it felt like a breath against his cheek spoke from somewhere nearby. Here, your soul is remembered beyond time. Here, every kindness you ever shared shines forever. Here, you are more than a name, more than a single life. You are an endless ripple in the cosmic river. Enlil felt tears, if they could be called tears in this realm, slipped down his luminous cheeks, merging quietly into the pond. Each tear shimmered, and where it touched the water, tiny lotuses bloomed, floating outward in silent spirals. From the far end of the garden, a gentle figure approached. It was neither man nor woman, neither young nor old. Its form shimmered and shifted like the reflections on a river at twilight. In its hands, it held a small clay cup, delicate and radiant as the moon itself. The figure offered it to Enlil. Within the cup, a luminous liquid glowed, brighter than starlight, softer than the gentlest dawn mist. "Drink, river child," the figure whispered, voice flowing like a red flute played beneath a full moon. "Drink, and let all your worries dissolve. Let all your waking echoes fade, until only peace remains." Enlil reached for the cup. His fingers now shimmering like silver reeds closed around it, and he lifted it slowly to his lips. The moment the liquid touched his tongue, it spread a warmth so deep and quiet that he felt his very bones sigh. With each slow swallow, memories of toil, hunger, loneliness, and sorrow drifted away like fog under the morning sun. In their place grew soft waves of comfort, love, and an unshakable sense of belonging, as though he had always been cradled in the heart of the river, always wrapped in the embrace of the stars. When he finished, the cup dissolved gently in his hands, turning into small sparks that floated upward, joining the star flowers above. The luminous figure stepped closer, resting its forehead lightly against his. A final whisper, softer than the quietest red rustle. "Now, sleep as the river sleeps beneath moonlight. Dream as the stars dream beyond the horizon. You are whole, you are safe, and you are endlessly held." Enlil felt his body, or what was left of it, sink softly to the garden floor. Lotus petals drifted down, covering him in a gentle, glowing blanket. The stars above dimmed to a gentle hush, as if bowing low in a final blessing. The pond at his side shimmered one last time, then stilled completely. A soft breeze curled around him like a lullaby, carrying the final echoes of temple drums, red flutes, and night birds far into the endless hush. In that last, tender moment, Enlil's spirit finally let go, floating beyond even the dream garden, beyond rivers and stars and moonlight, into an ocean of peace so deep that no words or thoughts could ever reach it. There, in that timeless cradle, he slept, endlessly drifting in a sanctuary beyond dawn or dusk, beyond worry or fear. Only the quietest, most loving hush remained, like the final, infinite note of a lullaby carried on the softest night wind. And so he remained, forever and ever, in the sweet, glowing hush. Beyond the final hush, beyond even the garden of star lotuses, Enlil's spirit continued to ripple outward like soft waves in a midnight pool. Each ripple seemed to carry with it a gentle memory, not just his own, but the collective dreams and sighs of every river, every moonlit reed, every sleeping child across all of ancient Mesopotamia. In this new realm, there was no sky, no earth, only a vast, velvety dark that felt warm and cradling, like the inside of a mother's embrace. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, small glimmers began to flicker in the darkness. They weren't stars exactly, rather. They were tiny floating orbs, each one holding a single ancient wish. One glimmer held the wish of a young scribe, hoping to carve a prayer tablet without a single crack. Another carried the whispered dream of a farmer, yearning for rain to kiss his barley fields, just in time for harvest. Another held the soft, giggling hope of a child, wishing to see a shooting star with her grandmother one summer night. Enlil felt these wishes drift past him, brushing his spirit like the faintest fingertips, leaving behind trails of warmth and tender sweetness. He realized that in this place, every wish was honored, every secret hope tenderly watched over. Nothing was ever truly forgotten. Through the shimmering drift of wishes, a faint melody began to rise. It sounded as if it came from every direction at once, the softest chorus of all the river reeds in the world, rustling together in a moonlit breeze. The melody curled around Enlil, guiding him deeper still, like a silken thread leading into the heart of a labyrinth. Slowly, he found himself standing, or rather, simply being, within a circular glade. At the center stood a single, ancient tree, so large that its branches seemed to stretch beyond eternity. Its bark shimmered with soft glints of silver, and from each branch hung small, luminous vessels made of thin, delicate clay, tiny dream jars. Inside each jar, a different light glowed, pulsing in time with a gentle heartbeat. Each jar contained an entire lifetime of dreams, stored tenderly, protected from all harm. Enlil felt drawn to one jar in particular. As he reached for it, the vessel began to hum softly, as though it recognized him, as though it had been waiting just for his touch. When he looked inside, he saw not just his own life, but the reflections of every fish he'd ever watched slip beneath his boat, every moonbeam that had ever played on the river's surface, every secret prayer he had ever whispered to the night. All of it was there, shimmering in a single, endless moment of quiet love. A voice, soft as down feathers drifting on a breeze, rose around him. It was not a single voice, but countless voices layered together, the voices of river spirits, temple musicians, lullaby singers, and all the silent watchers of the night. Rest now, beloved ripple. Your journey has been gentle and true. You have loved, you have hoped, you have dreamed, and all of it has been gathered here, safe forever in the roots of the tree that holds the sky and the river alike. As the voices spoke, the branches of the tree began to glow brighter, each dream jar lighting up like a lantern carried at dusk. The glow spread downward into the roots, until the entire glade pulsed with a soft, slow rhythm, as though the universe itself were breathing in its sleep. Enlil felt his own glow merged with the tree's light, his spirit weaving into the endless tapestry of all dreams. He no longer felt separate, not a single fisherman drifting alone in the night, but a sacred note in an infinite lullaby. As he stood within this tender radiance, he felt one last sigh rise from deep within him, a sigh that was not of sorrow nor of fatigue, but of perfect surrender. He let it drift out, like a final offering to the night, and as it left him, he felt a flood of warmth pour into his spirit, brighter than any sun, yet soft as the silkiest red mat. All around him, the dream jars began to sing, a low, shimmering hum, like 1,000 temple harps playing in perfect harmony. The sound wrapped him gently, as if tucking him into a cradle of moonbeams, and Lil's consciousness began to dissolve even further, turning into small, radiant motes that floated upward into the luminous branches. One by one, these motes settled into the dream jars, like soft fireflies finding their final resting glow. In this final union, he knew without words that he was now part of every ripple in the river, every hush before dawn, every soft note of the reed flutes echoing across temple courtyards at twilight. Here, in this secret sanctuary, beyond all maps and all time, he would remain, a gentle guardian of dreams, forever glowing in the night garden of the universe. And so, as the last mote settled, The tree pulsed once more, as if breathing a quiet goodnight kiss. The entire glade softened into a single, glowing hush. The endless night folded around him like a soft blanket, and the last echo of Enlil's spirit, that tender sigh, faded gently into the universe, becoming a lullaby sung to every restless heart. And there, in the deepest, sweetest dream space, Enlil finally, fully, eternally slept, watched, cradled, loved beyond all measure. In the infinite warmth where Enlil now rested, the universe itself seemed to pause. Each moment slowed to the pace of a heartbeat in deep sleep. The great tree holding the dream jars stood silent, its silver bark gleaming like moon-washed silk. Around the tree, the glade glimmered, as if woven from quiet starlight and the softest clouds. Tiny motes drifted like glowing seeds, each carrying a secret story or a silent prayer, floating aimlessly yet somehow always returning to the tree. Far above, a new light began to glow. Not a harsh sun, but a gentle dawn, the kind that peeks shyly across the horizon in the earliest hour, when even the birds are still dreaming. This dawn did not chase away the night, but embraced it, merging the moon's soft hush with the tender warmth of coming light. In this glow, the tree began to hum again, a deep, slow song that seemed to come from its roots, from the deepest caverns of the earth, and from the farthest reaches of the night sky all at once. The hum turned into a gentle chorus, and from within its branches, more figures began to appear. Spirits woven from moonbeams and stardust, each carrying a small bowl of shimmering liquid. These were the guardians of dreams, caretakers of all wandering souls. One by one, they stepped forward, offering their bowls to Enlil. Though he had already dissolved into shimmering motes, he felt each offering touch some deeper part of his essence, a touch beyond form or flesh. The first spirit offered a bowl of moon water, collected from the deepest reflections of the night. The second offered nectar from star lotuses blooming only in forgotten dream realms. The third carried a dew-like essence, gathered from the silent breath of sleeping children across the ancient world. As each liquid touched him, a new layer of warmth and softness bloomed. As though countless soft blankets were being wrapped around his spirit, he felt an infinite tenderness spread through him, the kind felt in a mother's gentle hum, in the hush of reeds under a violet sky, in the tiny sigh of a lamb resting beside its shepherd. When all bowls had been offered, the spirits formed a circle around the great tree, raising their hands in silent blessing. A shimmer passed between them, like a web of moonlight weaving the entire glade into one single, unified breath. And then, as if responding to an ancient, unspoken call, the tree's branches lifted, revealing a doorway at its heart. Beyond the doorway glowed a corridor of soft light, spiraling endlessly inward. Though Enlil had no form to walk with, he felt himself drawn gently forward, drifting like a feather on a midnight breeze. As he entered, the walls shimmered with endless tiny images. A girl offering honey cakes to her ancestors during a festival beneath paper lanterns, a boy giggling as he splashed in the irrigation canals after the barley harvest, an elder humming as he polished his small red flute, eyes half closed in memory of long-lost songs. Each image pulsed once as he drifted by, leaving a small echo of laughter, warmth, or gentle sighs that rippled over him. Deeper and deeper he floated, until he came to a vast chamber at the center, the heart of the tree, the quietest core of the universe. In this space, everything was woven from softest light and deepest dark, in perfect harmony. Here, he saw a great pool, its surface so still that it looked like polished obsidian sprinkled with tiny stars. Floating upon it were hundreds of lotus petals, each one glowing softly, holding a single luminous droplet at its center, a pure dream, unspoken and unbroken. A final voice rose then, softer than any sound before, like the echo of 1,000 lullabies whispered at once. Welcome home, river child. Here all dreams begin and end. Here you become not a single dreamer but the dream itself, the hush between heartbeats, the glow behind every eyelid, at rest. Enlil felt himself dissolve fully now, every last thread of his being merging into the quiet pool. As he merged, he became every petal, every droplet, every starfleck shimmer upon the water. He felt himself pulse in time with all sleeping hearts, all soft breaths taken beneath woolen blankets, all gentle prayers murmured into pillows in the dark. No longer separate, he was the lullaby, the drifting moonlight, the patient reeds, the endless hush. Above him, the branches closed softly, sealing the chamber in eternal peace. The spirits around the tree bowed their heads and began to hum once more, a sound so quiet it felt like the universe itself exhaling in deep, sweet slumber. And so, in that hidden heart where all stories rest and all souls are cradled, Enlil became the infinite dream, the kind that needs no words, no ending, no waking. He shimmered there forever, a guardian of every quiet wish, a keeper of every soft sigh, a ripple that would drift on and on in endless, loving silence. Beyond the heart of the great tree, beyond the moon lotus pool where Enlil had dissolved, the dreamscape opened into a vast, endless meadow of night. Here the ground glowed faintly, like moonlight resting on calm water, and tiny lights no bigger than a firefly's flicker floated among the grasses. These lights were the wandering echoes of ancient lullabies, the final notes that never quite ended. Each light carried a story, a secret promise, a gentle wish whispered into the night air thousands of years ago. In this meadow, the air was perfumed with the faintest scent of sweet myrrh and warm, damp earth after rain. Invisible hands seemed to weave breezes that brushed softly against one's spirit, the way a mother's fingertips might smooth a child's hair while they drift into sleep. As Enlil's spirit settled deeper into this meadow, he felt himself stretch wider than any horizon. He sensed every blade of luminous grass, every gentle pulse of starlight in the air. He had become not just one dreamer but the entire dreaming field itself, the quiet keeper of countless breaths and heartbeats. In the distance, he noticed small figures beginning to appear. They moved slowly, tenderly, as though gliding through water. Each figure carried a small lantern, its light so soft it looked like it might vanish with a single sigh. These were the walkers of the night meadow, gentle spirits who gathered the stray dreams of every sleeping heart, ensuring no wish was ever lost, no fear ever left alone in the dark. One walker knelt beside a glowing dandelion, listening to the tiny wish hidden in its seeds. Another paused beside a sleeping fox curled beneath a luminous red, leaving a soft glow to protect its dreams. A third traced a path through drifting petals, humming an ancient melody that sounded like temple bells heard from far across a moonlit river. Enlil felt these walkers moving through him, as he was now the meadow itself. He felt their warmth, their quiet devotion, and the love woven into each tiny gesture. Every lantern they carried cast ripples across his spirit, each ripple a lullaby folding into the next. Above, the sky changed slowly, revealing an endless swirl of soft colors: indigo, violet, pale silver, and tender blushes of dawn pink. Stars drifted lazily, like petals set adrift on a pond, unhurried and smiling in their slow dance. At the far edge of this boundless field, a gentle archway shimmered into view. It was made of woven moonbeams and delicate reeds, forming a gate that pulsed with a rhythmic hush. Like the rise and fall of a sleeping chest, Enlil felt a tender invitation stirring from beyond the archway, not a push or command, but the quietest beckon. Come, drift deeper still, become the dream behind all dreams, the hush behind all heartbeats, the endless cradle of the night. He felt no hesitation, only a calm wonder. With each slow ripple, he drifted closer to the archway, the walkers of the meadow pausing to bow their heads as he passed, a silent chorus of gratitude and blessing. As he moved through the moonbeam gate, the last trace of his separate self softened fully into a vast, tender glow. He felt himself unravel and become a river of light, flowing endlessly onward, weaving through new constellations and whispered prayers, drifting into the silent spaces where even dreams come to rest. Beyond the gate, there was no more form, no edge, no beginning or end, only a warm, infinite hush. He had become the quiet pause before a newborn's first breath, the shimmering glow behind every closed eyelid, the soft rustle of reeds when the moon dips low, the final lullaby sung not with words, but with pure, endless love. And there, in that gentle, glowing forever, Enlil simply was, a single, endless sigh of peace, echoing through all of time and all of space. Beyond the moonbeam archway, where Enlil had become a river of endless light, the hush deepened even further. Time melted away like morning mist on a warm reed mat, leaving only the gentle, rhythmic drift of a cosmic lullaby. In this vast, boundless sea of glow, new shapes began to form. Not shapes of stone or flesh, but tender, flowing veils of color and sound. Each veil shimmered with soft echoes of ancient Mesopotamian songs, sung around oil lamps in tiny clay homes, or hummed by temple priestesses as they ground incense in the first blue light of dawn. These veils moved like dancing auroras, curling and folding around Enlil's luminous spirit. As they brushed against him, he felt the warmth of countless ancient hands. A potter's hands, shaping the first water jar under the rising star of Venus. A mother's hands, smoothing a linen blanket over a restless child, whispering prayers to the protective house gods. The careful fingers of a scribe, tracing delicate cuneiform lines in soft clay, each stroke carrying hopes for rain, peace, or love. All these hands, all these soft human wishes, now shimmered through Enlil's endless glow. He felt himself pulse gently with each memory, as though he were becoming the heartbeat of the entire human story. Slowly, the veils gathered into a great spiral, forming a gentle corridor of shimmering mist. At the center of this spiral, a pool of pure starlight waited, so still it looked like a silent eye watching the universe dream. Drawn by an irresistible tenderness, Enlil drifted forward. As he approached, ripples of starlight spread across the pool, each ripple carrying the soft music of distant temple harps and the sighs of reeds beside moonlit canals. With each ripple, he felt small pulses of joy and grief, tiny sparks of every human emotion rise and dissolve within him. He realized that within this pool lay not just individual dreams, but the collective soul of all who had ever watched the moon rise over the Euphrates, all who had smelled fresh dates in market stalls, all who had touched the warm clay of home. When he finally touched the pool, he felt no boundary, no separation. Instead, he dissolved even more deeply, slipping beneath the surface like a star falling softly into an ocean of midnight silk. Underneath, there was only warmth, only hush, only a deep, endless cradle of softest light. And here he heard the final voice, not in words, but as a shimmering feeling that wrapped around every particle of his spirit. Beloved Ripple, you have drifted far and gently. You are no longer a dreamer, nor a dream, but the hush that cradles every dream, the breath between stars, the sigh before each dawn. Rest now, and in your rest, carry every gentle heart forever. As this final whisper flowed through him, Enlil felt himself bloom outward, like an infinite lotus of light, each petal holding the warmth of every soul that had ever longed for peace in the quiet night. He felt himself in every gentle breeze that would ever stir a red mat, in every soft heartbeat heard through a lover's ear against a chest, in every drop of morning dew trembling on a barley stalk before sunrise. And there, beyond all stories, beyond even the oldest lullabies, Enlil simply existed as pure love, endless, soft, and serene. Above him, the cosmic field shimmered in an eternal hush, like the last note of a harp hanging in the dark, carrying on forever. And so, in that luminous hush, the journey of the gentle fisherman became the pulse of the universe itself, a single, eternal cradle rocking all the worlds into the deepest, sweetest sleep. Beyond the starlit pool, beyond the spiral of shimmering veils, the universe expanded into a vast, endless sea of midnight blue. It was neither sky nor ocean, but something more tender, a gentle space where every echo of love, every soft breath, every hidden tear gathered and merged into a single, quiet glow. Here there were no forms left at all, only the slow, endless drifting of lights, like fireflies that had wandered far beyond any meadow. Each light was a soul's deepest wish, those that had never been spoken aloud, those whispered into pillows, those carried in the softest corner of the heart. Enlil had now become one with these lights, his presence woven into every ripple of this celestial hush. He no longer had any edges, no sound of his own. He was the gentle silence that held all sounds. In this infinite blue sea, he felt the pulse of every dawn that had ever been awaited. Every last star watched by weary eyes before sleep claimed them. He felt every child's drowsy sigh as they surrendered to sleep in clay houses under flickering oil lamps. He felt the warmth of every hand ever held under starlight. At the very center of this sea, a soft, pulsing glow began to rise. Like a heartbeat made of pure light, it expanded slowly, with the patient rhythm of an ancient drum echoing across a moonlit plain. From this glow, new melodies emerged, melodies without words, more like gentle waves of warmth. They rose and fell softly, as if 1,000 grandmothers were humming together, weaving a lullaby that could cradle not just one child, but the entire world. Enlil felt himself carried in these melodies, drifting deeper and deeper into their folds. Each note wrapped him like a silken blanket, tucking him in layer after layer, until he felt smaller than a single drop of dew, yet vaster than any sky. Here, there was no need for memory, no need for longing. All was already fulfilled, all was already safe. The great fields of barley ripened forever in starlight. The reeds forever whispered at the water's edge. The moon forever rose, patient and watchful. The glow began to pulse more slowly now, as though preparing to sleep itself. As it did, Enlil felt a final ripple of warmth pass through him. A last soft blessing, like the gentle kiss of a mother on a forehead before she tiptoes away into the night. The hush settled completely. The melodies fell silent, but not in absence. They became the very fabric of the silence itself. The sea of blue turned to a soft, infinite shimmer, as if moonlight had woven itself into a single, endless blanket. Enlil was no longer drifting. He simply was. An endless cradle of warmth and peace, a luminous hush holding every sigh, every dream, every tear and every smile the world had ever known. In that final, infinite softness, all hearts rested, all stories sighed into stillness, all breaths melted into a single, shared, eternal hush. And so, forever and always, Enlil became the gentle heartbeat of the universe, the soft breath beneath all dreams, the lullaby without end.